I just want to, in your marvelous book, King and Messiah as Son of God, I read a fascinating comment on the Apostle Thomas's acclamation in the Gospel of John 20:28, where Thomas says to Jesus, "My Lord and my God." And in chapter 8, there's a tiny little footnote here, which I thought was really, really interesting. You are citing another scholar, who I won't mention his name, but who said that this verse where Thomas says to Jesus, "My Lord, my God," John 20:28, is the one verse in the New Testament which does unquestionably describe Christ as God. Okay. Now, you're quite critical of that because you go on to say, this view fails to recognize, however, that the phrase Dominus et Deus, and presumably its Greek equivalent in the Gospel of John, is an honorific acclamation used, for example, by those who wish to flatter Domitian. Domitian, of course, was the Roman emperor towards the end of the first century when the Gospel of John presumably was written. Now, could you elaborate on that? Because surely people will say Thomas is just calling Jesus God.
I mean, God is a very equivocal term in that period. Now, in the Hebrew Bible, there really isn't monotheism. If by that you mean the idea that only one God exists. What has happened in Christianity, certainly, and probably in Judaism and Islam too, is that the beings that used to be called gods got to be downgraded. And so people call them angels or demons or whatever. But in the first century, many people would still refer to them as gods. So a god is not human, although you get some humans who are also gods, including, I might add, the king in ancient Israel.
Yeah, I mean, is it Psalm 45? The Psalm 45, the king is actually called God directly in an extraordinary passage. In Isaiah 9, you get another human figure called God, and Jesus quotes Psalm 82, doesn't he, in John's Gospel? "Ye shall be as gods," referring to the judges of Israel. So this language is used very elastically around the place.
So I think, to say "my Lord and my God" is like saying "my master," "your majesty."
Right.
It's something like that. Although I do think that chapter was written by Adela rather than by me.
I
think she did the New Testament chapters in that book, but
sorry,
we agree on
my apologies. You co-wrote this indeed.
Yeah.
So you're saying that this is not to be pressed in a literal sense in accordance with the beliefs of later times when strict monotheism was the kind of norm everywhere.
That's right.